Hello humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. Let me ask you, do you remember the first, and I mean the first Halloween that you didn't go trick-or-treating? I do. And it was memorable because I was, playing with my Colecovision. I decided to stay home. Why did I decide to stay home, you might ask? Well, because all my friends decided that was the year that we were too old. We're just too old for be trick-or-treating. We're going to go out there for the candies. And why did we decide that? Because the older kids told us that if they saw us out there trick-or-treating, they were going to beat us. We were just freshmen, and the sophomores told us, because some of these guys were driving. If we see you out there, we're going to beat the crap out of you. And it was a rough neighborhood, man. Let me tell you. So we decided to stay home, right? And what was my plan? I went and I told my mom, I'm not going trick-or-treating this year. I'm just too old, right? That was the excuse that I came up with, right? And it was killing me inside. It was killing me inside. I wanted to go trick-or-treating, but I couldn't do that. It was my first year of high school, and I had been threatened. So what did I do? Well, instead of going trick-or-treating, I decided to buy some peanut M&Ms. I decided to buy some taco-flavored Doritos, I remember, and a Coca-Cola. That's all I had money for. That was going to be my dinner. And I was going to sit there and play my Colecovision, right? And I had 3 games at this point. I had Donkey Kong, right? That was the pack-in game. I had Saxon that was given to me by a weed-smoking friend that, broke into my neighbor's house to steal his weed plant. And that's a completely separate story, another story on my channel. And I had Popeye. I had Popeye that had just come out that year, and it's the only thing that I had asked for on my birthday. I think it came out in September, I want to say. I got it just before Halloween sometime. I got it during that month because, we had put it on layaway, and, that's how I got it. And I was at this point, I'm working the weekends, right? I'm working Saturday and Sunday every weekend, right? So school every day, and Saturday and Sunday, I'm working at a donut shop. Regardless, guys, this was the day. So here I am. My mom, is kind of a little miffed because she has to leave work, come and pick up the girls and go take them trick-or-treating, which is something that I would just do. I would just go, okay, sisters, let's go, and just take them with me. But this year I wasn't going. So, and I didn't want to get beat up out there. I just told her I didn't want to go, and she was pretty upset. She was pretty upset that I wasn't going. Regardless, guys, so I'd stay home. It was a nice situation. I got to enjoy the living room TV, right? Because usually I couldn't use that one. That was the one where my mom would watch TV, and they would sit and watch her shows and watch novelas, and do all that. I had a black and white TV in my room. That's what I had to hook up my video games to, right? Whether it was the Atari or the Colecovision, this is what I had to work with, right? So luckily, I was going to be by myself, so I took it out there, connected everything up. I had a nice situation. I knew they're not going to be back until like 8:39. That's what I was guessing. So, I sit there and I played, man. And what a great time. What a great time I had. I had a particularly bad day at school. I remember that day. I just had a lot of work, a lot of homework that I had to turn in. I was working on the weekend, and it was hard because I was working, and it was just, it wasn't a good day. As a matter of fact, I know that Halloween was on a school day because I had gone to school that day, and everybody was going to school, and this is 1983. Yeah, 1983. So, and I'm just sitting there. I think it was a Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember exactly, guys. But anyway, the thing is that I'm sitting there and I'm finally chillaxing. I'm just like, yeah. This is the first time that I was like feeling stress, like work Before that, work had been fun, but right now, work was getting to me. Work was getting to me at 14, right? I already knew what being stressed from work was at 14 because, it was really backing me up in my homework. I was working 10-hour days. I was working 20 hours. So I was pretty tired. And I was mopping, I was cleaning, I was doing cash register, I was doing everything. I was in the store by myself. So I was cooking pizzas at night. It was hard work, man, but it was rewarding because I got to, buy video games, and I had bought this video game. I think I got the Popeye game, which is really the one that I bought last. I want to say, guys, that I got it in September or, the first week of October, around there, but it was brand new. I got it from work, I had to put it on layaway. My mom had given me a few bucks, my aunt a few bucks, and then with what I made, I had Popeye. So I felt like on top of the world, as far as video games. I had, the Saxon that my weed smoking friend had given me. I had, Donkey Kong, the packing game, and now I had Popeye. I had in my house, it was a whole arcade. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who think that these games were trash back then, let me tell you, it was the closest thing to the arcade. And I was sitting there like a king. Other kids were depressed that weren't going to trick-or-treating that year. Not me, baby. I was just pressed maybe for a few minutes. I thought about candy for about 2 minutes, but then I started rocking, man. I was just in the zone. I enjoyed my games, guys. This is why these games, right, these situations, that's why we're so nostalgic, right? Because they take us back to these days where I thought I had stress, right? Working 20 hours a week for video games, I thought I had stress, right? And the stress of not going to Halloween for the first time and not wearing a costume, and I timed it right because I knew pretty much what time they were going to come back. And I thought, 8:30 to 9, they're going to stay out there and my mom was mad. She had to walk all that with my sister, so we were so excited to go. And at the end of the day, they brought me more candy, which is great, right? They brought me candy. I put everything away, and I was there. And it made it a lot better, and that would continue in life for me. And probably some of you that are listening to this, whenever things went bad, whenever, we could turn to other things, this hobby / addiction / game hoarding that we do has actually helped us. It's been therapy at sometimes, right? It's been consolation. It's been solace. It's been a hideaway away from the world for us. And this is one of those times, this is one of those early times. And I will always remember, the first time that I didn't go trick-or-treating. This is the story that I have for my kids. And, do they care? No, they don't care. But I remember. And some other Gen Xers out there remember. And probably some of you can relate to this story. Well, guys, I hope you have a blessed night wherever you are. If you're celebrating Halloween with your kids, maybe you're tired. Maybe you're looking after your kid like I am right now, watching them sleep. I hope you're having a great, blessed evening, and I hope you have a great weekend with your family and a productive week next week, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys tell me when was the first time you didn't go trick-or-treating? And lie to me and tell me that you weren't bummed out, because I surely was. All right, humans, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.